Hey everyone, it's Lance of the Mad Galaxy here, and I'm finally here to review for you guys The Dark Knight Rises. Batman Begins is an excellent movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's a great origin story. There are a few minor little flaws, like Katie Holmes' performance. It's not bad, it's just not always great. Some of the action scenes, there's a lot of quick cutting and a lot of shaky cam at times. But overall, Batman Begins is fantastic. It feels very grounded in reality, and it was a great reboot to restart Batman. Just a great cast overall, great story. I give Batman Begins an A. In 2008, we had The Dark Knight, which was unfortunately the last performance of Heath Ledger before he passed away. Very tragic death, very unfortunate. But he turned in an Oscar-worthy, Oscar-winning performance as the Joker, one of the greatest villain performances of all time. He was fantastic and amazing, and the film itself was amazing. I mean, he really helped make that film amazing, but the film had an all-around amazing cast. The Dark Knight is just incredibly intense, and it's just such an epic clash between Batman and the Joker. And I love how all the mobs and organizations, like crime organizations, are involved in the story as well. It's a fantastic film. Again, one of my favorite films of all time, and I give The Dark Knight an A+. So needless to say, I was very excited for The Dark Knight Rises when it was announced. This was meant to be the final film in a trilogy, and that was one thing I always noticed. I just felt like the fact that Nolan was doing that meant that he really wanted to make this movie, that he was making this movie for story purposes, that it wasn't just a cash grab. Also, before this movie came out, in the coming weeks, I stayed away from everything. This is something I've been doing lately, where I don't watch or read movie reviews about movies. I didn't want to know any of that. I didn't want to know what people were saying about it. I didn't want to know the average on Rotten Tomatoes. I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. I don't like to really hype myself up. Now, I saw The Dark Knight Rises the first time in IMAX, and the second time I saw it in just regular theater, and I have to say to you guys that I love this movie. This movie is fantastic. I mean, the first time I saw it, I loved the experience. It was my first IMAX experience, and it was, wow, it was mind-blowing. It was incredible. And I came out of the movie and I was satisfied, but I wasn't really sure how satisfied. I was still kind of scratching my head like, I might like it better than The Dark Knight. But this is an excellent movie. This is a great movie, a great Batman movie, a great Bruce Wayne movie, and that's the thing about this movie. This movie has a lot of Bruce Wayne in it. A lot of it is Batman without the costume, if that makes any sense. And I thought that was a great kind of way to go about it, because Bruce Wayne in this film is very different. The film takes place 8 years after The Dark Knight. Crime has been down, everything's been peaceful. Bruce Wayne has stopped being the Batman, and then finally this evil rises as Bane to terrorize the city. So Batman has to come back into action. Now, first off, I want to talk about this cast. All of the films have had amazing casts. I mean, let me tell you. I might go ahead and say that The Dark Knight Rises has, overall, maybe the best cast out of the three. We have Christian Bale, of course, returning, and he gives his best performance of the trilogy. He is amazing in this film. He delivers the emotion, he delivers the intensity once again. Also, Alfred is Michael Caine. I will say that he isn't in this movie as much as the others, but the times that he's on screen, he is amazing. He can't deliver a bad performance, and this is honestly one of his best. I thought he was terrific. And of course, Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon is once again fantastic, and I think he has his best scenes in this film out of the entire trilogy. And also, of course, Morgan Freeman is very good as Lucius. And now I'm going to get into the new members of the cast. First, I'm going to talk about Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Wow, this guy, he's been one of my favorite actors probably since I watched Inception. I saw that before 500 Days of Summer. Now I've seen that. He was excellent in that. He was excellent in 50-50. And I'm sure there was some other movie I saw where he was great in. But no, this guy is really good. And he's just getting better every time. This is a fantastic movie, and this might be my favorite performance of his, this or 50-50. And now Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. Now this has been a controversial topic. You know, a lot of people were skeptical about her. A lot of people were very on the fence. And you know, the funny thing is, whenever people say, oh, I was extremely surprised by her, I'm telling them I wasn't really on the fence about it. Sure, you kind of have to wonder, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting that at all. But when she was cast, I was saying, well, Nolan obviously casted her for a reason. I mean, there are a bunch of other people who I'm sure wanted the role. There are tons of other people he could have cast. And he went with Anne Hathaway. So I felt like he was onto something with that. And I still remember how people were really doubting Heath Ledger when The Dark Knight was about to come out. Everybody, or a lot of people were saying, oh, I don't want some gay cowboy playing the Joker. He's going to ruin it. Yeah. A lot of people were saying that. Everybody praises him now, but a lot of people were very upset at first that he was cast. So I don't like to listen to that. But Anne Hathaway embodied everything that I picture about Catwoman. Everything. I'm telling you. She was fantastic, and she fits right into Nolan's world. That was a great thing about her character. She was one of my favorite things about this movie. She was sexy. She was intense. She was hard to figure out at times. I mean, she was such a great, well-rounded character. You know, she wasn't just looking sexy in that black skin-tight suit, which was great, by the way. I love the design. But anyway, she was really just a great character all around. And I absolutely loved the chemistry between her and Batman, and the chemistry between Selina Kyle and Christian Bale. And finally, I have to talk about the villain, Bane. Now, Bane has gotten a positive reaction overall, but kind of sort of mixed. A lot of people prefer the Joker, and I will say that I probably prefer the Joker overall because he's a Joker. He's iconic. I mean, when you look at the comics, the cartoons, and even The Dark Knight, I mean, that character is amazing. I don't think that Bane and the Joker can really be compared because they're both excellent villains for their respective movies. The Joker was fantastic for The Dark Knight as being somebody who was challenging Batman's morals. Bane is somebody who is not only extremely intelligent and extremely calculated, but he's also the biggest physical challenge that Batman has ever faced. And keep in mind, this Batman has been missing in action for 8 years. You know, he's rusty, he's old, he's broken down mentally and physically. And he has to go up against Bane all of a sudden? That right there makes Bane a great villain. Tom Hardy delivers an excellent performance. I was terrified every time Bane came up on screen because I never knew what he was going to do. He was always unpredictable to me. You know, every time he was imposing, he was big, and he was scary, you know, and his voice. I know some people aren't fans of the voice. I love it. I think the voice, a little hard to understand at times, but overall I understood it for the most part, and it had a very Darth Vader-ish feel. And the thing about Tom Hardy as well, he shows so much expression through his eyes. So much, and that's what really makes his performance great. Even with that big thing on his face, he still delivers a performance. You know, you still see this character arc. Even if I might love the Joker more overall, I think that Bane is the perfect villain for this movie. Also, the score by Hans Zimmer is once again amazing. Also, the cinematography by Wally Pfister is the best it's ever been out of the trilogy. I mean, especially in IMAX, you know. The regular theater cannot compare to seeing this movie in IMAX. It was beautiful. It was so clear. Everything was so sharp and so clear. You could see all the little details. And then also the visual effects and the few CGI that's there. All of it blends together so well. The thing I will say also that made me very happy and very impressed with Christopher Nolan is that the fight scenes, there was not only no shaky cam, but there was no quick cutting either. They were very well done, very just excellently done. And then once again, I love the story of this movie so much. And watching this movie, especially the second time, I was so amazed again at how well Nolan does stories. Throughout all of his movies, he does stories incredibly well. When you look at his older movies and his other movies, all the characters are balanced out incredibly well. They all have depth. They all have a richness to them. And, you know, not one character, in my opinion, really feels shortchanged. And I'm going to say this. This movie reminds me of both Rocky III and Rocky Balboa combined. I love both of those movies. They're both some of my favorite Rocky movies, probably favorite movies ever. And this movie really reminds me of them, except it's Batman. And the ending of this film gave me chills. like all the endings to these Batman movies have with the Nolan films. It really gave me chills, gave me shivers, especially the second time I saw it. I really loved and appreciated the ending. Now, The Dark Knight Rises might not be even completely perfect. You know, there were maybe some things at the beginning that could have been done a little bit better, but overall, I mean, fantastic. I really had no problems with this movie. There's nothing that I look back on and said, wow, that was such a problem. That took me out of the movie. There was nothing like that for me. I thought everything came together incredibly well. And you got to remember, it's incredibly different from The Dark Knight. It is different. All three films are very different from each other, but at the same time, they tie in very well together and they feel consistent. They feel a part of one big journey. I think if you go in really expecting this to be exactly like The Dark Knight, you are going to probably be disappointed or a little let down. If you go into it taking it for what it is, being the epic conclusion to The Dark Knight legend, then I think there's a high chance you won't be let down. And if you're disappointed the first time, I recommend you give it another shot, because I love this movie more watching it again. And all that is why I'm going to give The Dark Knight Rises an A+, you know. And thank you, Christopher Nolan, and all the rest of the cast and crew for delivering us one of the best cappers to a trilogy ever. I feel like The Dark Knight Rises is my favorite film of the year, but I want to say something really quick. When it comes to the Avengers and The Amazing Spider-Man, those are great movies. And The Dark Knight Rises is a great movie. All three of them are fantastic in my opinion. I loved all of them. And this is such a great year for superhero movies. They're all amazing. They were all exactly what I wanted them to be. You know, that's the amazing thing. I wasn't let down by any of them. I gave them all an A+, and that's my wildest dreams come true. And also, I wanted to say that I know earlier when I did my Avengers review, I said that The Avengers was my favorite superhero movie of all time. You know, maybe even over The Dark Knight. I think I'm going to change that a little bit. For one, like I said already, I don't think that the two can really be compared because they're both so different. Very different films, and they're both excellent for what they are. And same goes for Amazing Spider-Man and now The Dark Knight Rises. I pretty much love them equally. That said, I think that, you know, if I put together the entire Dark Knight trilogy and look at it as one film, then that is definitely my favorite superhero movie of all time. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to call it the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm going to look at them as one big film, and I'm going to call it The Dark Knight Legend. You know, as one film, it's The Dark Knight Legend. And that just works for me. I think that really works, actually. Anyway, guys, let me know. How did you feel about The Dark Knight Rises? Did you love it like I did, or were you a little disappointed by it? Just let me know. Don't be afraid to share your opinion. Who's your favorite new character in this film? For me, it would probably be between Bane, Catwoman, or John Blake. And also, guys, let me know, which is your favorite Batman movie out of the Nolan films? But anyway, guys, take care. And this is Lance from Cinematic Galaxy, signing off.